And of course, still following conversations concerning the nationwide protests, we've been covering all morning in Lausa, in Abia State, and of course at Lekki area of Lagos. We're joined this morning, of course, by Dotun Ojon, who's going to be sharing his thoughts on things so far. Good morning, Mr. Ojon.
Good morning.
We've, of course, had a pretty interesting morning. First of all, I noticed that there was barely any cars on the road.
Yeah.
And then our correspondent at the Lekki toll gate, of course, noticed that there was a bus that dropped off some NURTW staff or members. Alausa, of course, has a Say No to Violence group that has also been there. But let's get your views on today, how things have played out so far. And if you genuinely believe that Nigerians are ready to demand better governance.
Okay, I think democracy has given us an opportunity, the freedom to do anything that is within the ambit of the law. One of them is protest, and also another one is refusing to protest, as the case may be. And tracing back to history, I have repeatedly mentioned that when you hear of protest, usually it doesn't lead to violence. It is when we introduce resistance to protest that we always have all of this issue. So we have this freedom, but again, the normative theory of the press says that there's what they call the libertarian theory that gives freedom. And just after that, there's a social responsibility theory. So you have a freedom in your hand, and there's a responsibility that is attached to that freedom. For example, the government has a freedom to make life better for the people, so to say. And this freedom extends to the area of responsibility. So if you fail in that responsibility, then the other people also have the freedom to call you to order. And that's why you see, naturally, in ourselves as human beings, people talk about high blood pressure, and they talk about low blood pressure. And I got to understand that low blood pressure is actually equally very dangerous. So the state of low blood pressure is a state of inactivity. And when your government gets to this point that, oh, anything goes, you discover that they continue to do whatever it is that pleases them until we have people who come out to say, oh, enough is enough. And coming out to say does not mean that they have to necessarily hit the street. Like what we have today now. In the last 1 week, the policy announcement of this government, I doubt whether they've made it in the last 1 year. And this is owing to the fact that they can see genuinely that people are concerned about the policy direction of the government. They are concerned about the direction of the nation. They are concerned about the insensitivity on the part of so many of their governors. So it is very clear that I got on the road as early as 6:30 this morning. I didn't see anybody. It shows that without a public holiday, that the protest has actually achieved majorly what it's meant to achieve, which is actually waking up the government to its responsibility. And I think this is actually a good one for everyone.
All right. I mean, we can only wait to see how today will turn out. Like you said, you think that the protest has already achieved what it's meant to achieve, and it's made the government sit up. The citizens, we're seeing a number of citizens who are protesting protesting against the protests. I mean, you've heard about a number of them. But let's also talk about the role of the police. I had spoken, asked an earlier guest, but I'd like to ask you, the role of the police in guaranteeing the safety and security of protesters. What we've seen in the past few days is a very strong show of force, as opposed to, it does seem like some would say that it is an effort to maybe intimidate young protesters who will come out to let them know that if you do anyhow, you see anyhow, right? So let's talk about the role of the police to protect, to guarantee the safety and the security of the Nigerian citizens, and how well they are, they have carried on with that, bearing in mind that these regulations and rules that they have given to the protesters maybe have not been given to those who were protesting against the protest.
Okay, can we start from those that are protesting against the protest? And in my background studying politics and my little involvement, I discovered that there's something that is always peculiar. It's just like a political rally. When people gather in a political rally and they return home, now those people that they go there to meet in a political rally return to affluence. Those who come from community polling unit and war return back to their poverty. So majority of those people who are carrying placard to protest against something today will also return to their poverty. I saw the picture of people who protested, who were cursing people in Ikorodu side of Lagos. And of course, Ikorodu has a special place in my heart. And I look at the picture very carefully. I saw that these guys are still going to return to poverty, because you can even tell from the bedroom slippers that some of them are wearing that they came from poverty. So it is not a matter of whether you come to protest against. It is what becomes of you after whatever it is that you have expressed, whether for or against. So I only pity us, because all of these things will continue to happen. If we have a country of 200 and something million people, and just a little percentage of them are those that are genuinely interested in how they are governed. For instance, you can ask a lot of Nigerians today, they don't even care any longer. It's like government inactivity had driven them to a point of, oh, whatever happens, let it happen. So I'm telling you that those that are protesting against are actually sponsored. And I'm saying this from the point of experience. They are actually sponsored.
Or at least promised.
Of course, you will see what will happen. And I'm going to tell you my experiences and tell you, when you get to a political rally or a situation like this, when you organize people there, usually the organizer is not the one that pays people directly. He gives money, let's use 2,000 naira, to somebody to settle them. Meanwhile, the person you gave the money to has also not eaten. So he removes 500 naira from the money. At the end of the day, the calculation they made of about 2,000 naira per person, you discover that only about 50 or 60% of them will be taken care of. That is why you see that after every political rally, there's always rancor. So you will see in the evening today now, you see that people will begin to protest against the people that are supposed to protest.
Well, I already did see that yesterday.
And it's a sorry state. Now let's talk about the role of the police. And I say that, if not because of the fact that they have guiding ethics, you will have seen Nigerian policemen taking the forefront in this protest. Because like every Nigerian, their condition of service is nothing to write home about. And I've continuously agitated. You see, in 2011, I have worked closely with the police. I started what they call the Police Youth Connect. The idea is to ensure that the police understands the mentality of the Nigerian people. But in 2024, you still discover that there's still that disconnect. When they release press statement, of course, I take the press statement to dissect and look at it. You discover that they are releasing press statement not to win the citizens over. They are releasing press statement like a politician. So the police, as we speak now, is almost part of the political class, because it takes directive from the political class and it does not have the capacity to actually correct the political class. Not just because whosoever pays the piper, but in reality, there's been a mixture in the Nigerian state. Nobody seems to be able to win anything without partnership with the police. Nobody seems to be able to run a glorious community without partnership of the police. So we have unconsciously dragged our police, credible police force, into politicking. And now they are maybe at the forefront of politicking. So when a politician talks, they just think that the way to do is to actually respond to the community with force.
Yeah, all right. Dotun Ojon, we're out of time. Thank you very much for stopping by.